because we're going to have you talk about the tempo of this one as Arkansas State wins the tip. But these two teams are not going to want to play at the same speed.
No, Arkansas State with 9 straight wins with 70 when they score 75 or more, and so that needs to be their goal. Try to get this game in the 70s. Morehead State's going to try to be a little bit more patient on the offensive end.
Caleb Fields, who had a big game last year against Morehead State, in fact, a career high in that one. He gets the scoring started as you take a look at the starters for the Eagles going into tonight, including a couple of transfers we'll talk about as we go along. So.
Arkansas State picking up their full court early, trying to, as we talk, be disruptive with it and taking it out of the point guard's hands.
Right off the bat, Janai Broom gets his own miss and a putback, and Mike Blotto talked with us about that today.
Yeah, they ran a little clear out there, and again, you got to make sure, be aware of the clear out, not only with the help side, but the ball pressure.
So Broom with an early bucket. Omir's going at him, fading away, and Broom affected that shot.
He's one of the better shot blockers in the nation. I mean, with his size and those long arms, it's tough to shoot over him.
Now he's going to go one-on-one at Omir, and Janai Broom's got a couple of early buckets.
Right idea, Arkansas State. They tried to double him and take away that left hand. He's a left-handed, but they're just a little bit late getting there.
Desi Sills along the baseline comes up short. Omir had the rebound knocked away by Broom, and here come the Eagles. Skip it out for a three in transition. That wouldn't go for Skylar Potter, and A-State's got the board. Marquise Eaton, preseason All-Sun Belt pick, gives it to Fields. Now they go in for Omir. He goes around Broom, reverse, no, and then Desi Sills got the steal. He goes up, drops it off for Omir. He misses, and Broom's still there to clean it up.
I'd say some pregame early jitters, huh? But that's the right idea by Omir. Instead of trying to shoot over his length, that's a great move by him going around him. That's the move he wants. He just didn't quite finish it.
Omir came in hitting 72% of his shots on the season. He's 0 for 3 to start. And then Talon Cooper rings up a three on his birthday. 7 unanswered for the Eagles. Eaton in the paint, no, and Cooper snags the board. Here's Potter dropping it off to Broom along the baseline. Got hung up under the backboard. Gives it back to Potter, who goes strong and has it blocked by Omir. Big defensive play there by Norshad. Here comes Arkansas State. The pace has favored the Red Wolves early, even though they trail by 5.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is a good pace for them.
Fields has to reset as the shot clock goes under 10. He'll pull up just off the top of the key and bury the jumper.
Get that first basket to fall, right?
Caleb Fields stops the 7-0 Morehead State run and trims the lead down to 3. Trey Hollowell gives it up to Cooper. Looking in for Broom. One-on-one with Omir. He goes around him and lays it up.
That's a quick move for a big man like that. Yeah, Morehead State's doing a great job of recognizing the help side by Arkansas State. They're really crowding in. They've done a great job with skip passes so far. Nearly every possession they've had a skip pass.
Omir pulls up over Broom and knocks it down. So that gets Norshad Omir in the scoring column. And on this end defensively, coach, for Norshad Omir, here's the spot he's stuck in, trying to play Broom tough when everybody else has really been in his ear the last few games by staying out of foul trouble.
Yeah, it is. I just you got to trust your game, though, right? I mean, for the most of his career, he's done a great job of playing without fouling. That's a tough finish by Wolf.
Wolf did get the circus shot to go, and it's a 5-point Morehead State lead. Eagles have hit 5 of 8. Omir couldn't hit on the baseline other side, and here comes Morehead State.
You know, he just hit that last jumper over Broom, but I still like the move he made before, even though he missed it, of putting the ball on the floor and attacking off the dribble.
Catch and fire 3, a little bit long. Omir got the rebound. Fields wants to push. Lob it ahead to Eaton. He lobs it underneath, and there's Broom knocking that shot out of bounds. Antoine Jackson is in for Arkansas State. He forces Broom to give it up. Rebound knocked away from Desi Sills, and they'll say it'll stay with the Eagles.
You know, Jackson has a big role in a game like this too. Is you know, just when giving Omier a little bit of a breather, big body to maybe wear on Broom as the game goes along.
A-State lost track of Thelwell underneath, but Red Wolves dodged the bullet. Here's Eaton. Nearly took the three in transition. Now they fired down deep to Jackson. Pass deflected out of a double team, but it'll stay with Arkansas State.
You know, Jackson is from last year. He's such a great passer for his size, but honestly, in a position like he's deep, he needs to go through and again try to get a foul early on Broom. Be physical with him inside.
We've played this pace for 5 minutes and 45 seconds, and neither team's been called for a foul.
I think that's one of the things with Broom for being as good of a shot blocker as he is his ability. He hadn't fouled out during his career. He does a great job, the timing.
Speaking of timing, there's some timing on a steal and a big-time flush by Skylar Potter, and Morehead's up by 7.
Can't afford, again, you want to play fast. You can't give up those type of turnovers.
Marquise Eaton drops it off to Jackson.
There you go. Just go up with it. Get some scores inside.
Pretty tough catch by Jackson, who was able to get his hands on it and finish underneath.
Got to challenge Broom inside.
So Jackson, the sophomore out of Las Vegas, in the scoring column, and then underneath, Broom gets it too deep, and he finishes.
You know, and that gets back to that, and I know Coach Pilato and Shoot-Around talked a lot about, you know, Wesley trying to get a little bit more ball pressure on the perimeter out there. They cannot allow him to toe the three-point line. You can't allow passers to be standing right at the three-point line. Broom is too big, too long. You got to guard the passers better.
Broom already with 8 points on 4 of 5 shooting. Wesley got it blocked. Jackson had it deflected underneath. And then Broom comes out with it. Ton of energy down there on the Morehead State bench. Broom outside the paint, faces the basket. Good job by Jackson, cutting him off on the baseline. Elwell couldn't get it to go. But Potter got the offensive rebound, and now he's tied up. Possession will keep it with the Eagles.
I think the thing with Morehead, as you said, with the energy down there, they were not going to be intimidated coming in here. Their early schedule already going to Mississippi State, was it UAB to Auburn. They've been tested on the road already.
Yeah, their first 4 games against Division I opponents have all been on the road, counting tonight.
Now we talked about Jackson as a key coming off the bench to give Omier a little bit breather. L.J. Bryan for Morehead, kind of the same deal. Big body comes in, able to give Broom some minutes.
Jalen Seabury gets the game's first foul on a moving screen. A-State has it down by 7 as we roll near the 12-minute mark here in the first half. Marquise Davis is also checked in for A-State as Desi Sills gets on the gas pedal and goes reverse. The Jonesboro native and Arkansas transfer with his first bucket. The lead is down to 5.
Yeah, like with Arkansas State, they've been picking up Cooper full court on every dead ball. Again, it's a long game. He's a very valuable point guard for them, so they're really trying to wear on him.
Straight away, 3-pointer up and good by Jalen Seabury. And it's an 8-point Morehead State advantage. Eagles 2 for 5 from deep. A-State hasn't taken a 3-pointer. Shot clock winding down as Jackson bangs his way into the paint with the left hand and got it to go.
Good move. Again, way to attack inside. Try to get the score or try to draw a foul. Good job being aggressive.
Antoine Jackson's got 4 off the A-State bench. Meanwhile, here's Cooper as he gave it up over to Seabury. Shot clock hits 6. Thelwell open, three-pointer, no. Offensive rebound taken by L.J. Bryan, and he saves the possession. As Seabury goes baseline, changes hands, no. A-State was too deep on the rebound, couldn't get it. Desi Sills this time comes out with it. Sills left his feet, kicked it out to Caleb Fields. Tried to dribble through traffic and lost the handle. Second turnover for A-State, and on the Oxford, Alabama native. So Jalen Seabury will be at the line.
I would be ready for be ready for any type of press here out of Morehead. They generally, yeah, there they are picking up. They will occasionally run and jump out of that as well.
Norshad O'Meara back into the lineup. So is Broom. And that's going to be a turnover as Eaton threw it out of the reach of O'Meara.
Well, we talked about, Arkansas State wanting to be disruptive defensively, and it's actually right now Morehead is the disruptive one. Arkansas State really needs to attack a little, attack off the dribble, back them off a little bit, because right now they're very aggressive on the defensive end.
Thelwell with the Wolf. Now Potter comes open, top of the key. Long, and Marquise Davis the board. Eaton got a step when his shot blocked out of bounds, and sometimes it's okay if a guy gets a step when you've got Broom protecting the rim.
That's for sure. He gets down the floor in very few steps.
Get a look at Broom coming behind the play. Eaton thought he was open, and Broom said otherwise. It's already the third block of the half for the Eagles. Here's Avery Felts with it. Now they go other side for Willis. Strong. Too strong off the glass. Ball loose. Back to Willis as the shot clock winds down, and it's going to go out of bounds to the Eagles.
Arkansas State being as aggressive on the boards that possession as well. Good to see. Again, taking it out of Cooper's hands, the point guard, trying to mix up. Morehead State's a very set-oriented team. They call a lot of sets. Generally, you want those called with your point guard. So not a bad decision by Coach Bellato trying to take it out of the point guard's hands.
Broom and O'Meara out on the three-point line. Good move along the baseline, but a defensive play there by Davis to take away the dunk. Here's a lob underneath the O'Meara, and it wouldn't go. Broom grabs the rebound, which is his 6th, to go along with 8 points. Slow start for O'Meara, just 1 out of 6 from the floor, but he gets the steal there.
Better ball pressure. Willis there had better ball pressure on the passer, not able to make a great entry pass into Broom.
Rebound tap back to Davis. Now here's Felts. He backs out and resets things offensively for Arkansas State. O'Meara fading away. Off the mark, Potter the board. Scoring has slowed down. Neither team has scored in about 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Red Wolves have gone about 3.5 minutes without a bucket, and here they come off the steal. O'Meara 1-on-2. We had no points scored between the last 2 media timeouts. And now we got a collision off the inbounds. It's going to be a whistle and a foul on the Eagles, as that's going to go against Jake Wolf. I think that's on Holloway. They said Jake Wolf on the TA, but I think that's 21 with the foul.
Oh, good backdoor cut. Good backdoor cut. Great patience by Eaton on the inbound.
So that stopped a streak of nearly 4 scoreless minutes for Arkansas State. Meanwhile, the Eagles have gone about 3 minutes without scoring. Here's Cooper. No, Sills hung in the air. Looked like he'd almost mistimed his jump, but he just stayed up there and got that rebound. He gets ahead of steam, strong to the hoop, and the lefty with the finish.
It's back-to-back possessions with Sills attacking off the dribble and not only scoring points here, but they're going to back Morehead State off. They were so aggressive earlier defensively. Now you can back them off a little bit by attacking off the dribble.
6 points, 4 rebounds for Sills here in the first half, and the Red Bulls have cut the lead in half. Broom at O'Meara, and he gets the finish.
Still a little bit late on the double team there. It's the right idea to take away that left hand. They're just getting there a little bit late.
O'Meara spins to the fadeaway and hits.
Tough shot. Don't fall in love with it, though. Keep attacking him off the dribble.
O'Meara with his second bucket in 8 attempts. Meanwhile, Broom already 10 points on 5 of 6 shooting. 4-point Morehead State lead. And there's Broom off the miss with the putback. Talon Cooper had it roll off the rim, but Broom was there, and now here's the steal. Cooper around the top of the key, takes it at O'Meara, and there's going to be a whistle and a foul. Norshad O'Meara commits his first personal.
They got caught a little bit in middle ground on handling that ball screen there.
Second team foul, charge to the Red Bulls.
There's a lot of way of handling it. If you're going to hedge it, you can trap it. Or they kind of caught in middle, no man's land there, letting them get too deep into the paint.
And the free throw is no good. For Cooper,
Drew Philwell and Jalen Seabury.
Who was at 70% from the free throw line coming into the night.
Again, watch for any type of press here after the make.
He goes 1 for 2, pushes the lead back to 7. Malcolm Farrington in for Arkansas State. Here's Sills off the mark, and Broom pulls that down. Cooper threw a pass really off the mark, but it stays with the Eagles. Now here's a three-pointer up and good. That one knocked down by Trey Hollowell. And the lead is 10. 6 unanswered for Morehead State, and it took them just a minute to do it. Sills a little pick and pop with Wesley, who had it knocked away.
It's the right idea, though. Keep getting it back inside, challenge him inside.
12 on the shot clock for Arkansas State. See him go strong, but that was Cooper who knocked it from behind. Yeah. Sills spins to the paint. He had that one blocked by Broom. Janai Broom has had himself a first half. 12 points, 8 rebounds, 4 block shots for the preseason player of the year in the OVC.
Stay with Cooper, the inbounder here, coming back on. There he comes back on for the handoff.
Drops it to Broom. With the left, Broom gets it to go.
2-point basket, Johnny Broom.
14 for Janai Broom. The lead is 12, but not for long as Malcolm Farrington knocks down the three. That's his 5th three-pointer of the year. He's 5 out of 15 now from deep. He's only taken 2 shots all season inside the three-point line.
Every time he touches the ball, Morehead State bench is yelling shooter, but they were late on that one. It's one thing to yell it, but you got to follow through with it.
Eaton gives it to Sills. Kick it out back to Eaton. Marquise couldn't get the three to go, and North Shadow Mere actually knocked the rebound away from Keon Wesley, who had position. Step aside for a timeout.
Consistent enough. The other thing too, you can tell they're trying to double him, take it with that left hand, but I think there's been 3 times now where they're just late getting there. They're going to have to rush it a little bit quicker. And he's a very capable passer out of there, but right now I think you got to challenge that and make him be a passer. They're just getting there late on the double team.
There's a bounce pass into L.J. Bryan. Now they kick it out for a three-pointer. That's Skylar Potter who missed. He's had to switch from his 5 to that number 32. He's off the mark, and A-State's got the board.
I think Arkansas State, we're starting to even up the rebounding battle. They've done a much better job late kind of controlling the boards here.
Currently +3 for Morehead State. They were looking in for Antoine Jackson, but the Red Wolves turn it over for the 5th time. Cooper gave it to Potter. He got run under the backboard. Had to drop it off for Bryan. He's fallen away and gets it to go.
He hadn't missed a shot on the year still. Is that right?
He has not.
Didn't take many attempts, but he's been effective.
L.J. Bryan now, as you mentioned, still perfect from the floor on the season. Potter there to snag that rebound. Off the miss by Jackson. Well, Arkansas State, as you said, sort of evened up the rebounds. They've evened up the number of shots as Cooper gets around Jackson and scores. But
well, the area that is not evened up, and it just got even worse right there, is the points in the paint. Morehead doing a great job, not only their post scoring, but attacking off the dribble. And Arkansas State, there's Sills getting it in there, get a score here. Again, scoring in the paint.
And now even when you kind of got open, still managed to sort of rush that a little bit.
Rushed it, yeah.
Red Wolves, to your point, have been outscored 24-14 in the paint. 24 of the Eagles' 34 points here have come inside the paint. And now Farrington had to reach in and foul Potter, or they're going to add 2 more to that total.
Foul charge to Malcolm Farrington.
Excuse me, L.J. Bryan, who got fouled.
13 foul charge to the Red Wolves.
Yeah, there hadn't been a ton of fouls called, just 3 apiece.
Yeah, that actually was a good foul. He's a little bit late in there on the help side, but he tried to make a play on the ball.
North Shadow Mere is going to check back in here.
Along with North Shadow Mere.
Yeah, make sure you stay with the inbounder here. They like to use the inbounder after the pass.
And I don't blame Mike Bellato for wanting to get O'Meara back in, especially with Broom on the bench, but they lost track of Seabury.
Flex cut off the out of bounds play and didn't open up on the flex cut.
O'Meara tied up as he tried to put it on the floor between defenders. Potter tied him up, and it'll stay with Arkansas State. But here's Janai Broom back into the lineup as Bryan will sit down. 15-point lead for Morehead State, which is in the midst of a 14-3 run overall. A-State had gotten within 4. Sills gets it blocked again, block number 5 in the first half for Broom. Broom has it, out away from the basket. Sort of used that right hand to hook O'Meara a little bit. Had it knocked away, now knocked away again, and eventually turned over. Sills catches the pass. And then turns it back over. Elwell hands it into front court. Under a minute to go in the half.
Good.
And Omier with the steal. He's wanting to go the distance. Norshad Omier gets the layup. Shot clock is off for Morehead State as Omier gets his 6th point of the half to go along with a couple of rebounds.
Steal and score by Omier. Finish it off with a stop here.
Hollowell to Cooper. 5 seconds to go in the half as Cooper gives it to Potter. Knocked away inside. Marquise Davis.
Wrong hand. You don't want to take that left. He went to the wrong hand, but it still was effective. You got to make Broom. Broom is a very good passer from what I've seen, but you got to try. You got to make him be a passer.
So A-State going to try to turn the turnover into some points as Fields left his feet, gave it to Desi Sills. Good job by Morehead State taking those drives away, and now out on the perimeter, Eaton's going to be fouled, I believe, by Wolf.
Second personal, first team foul charged to the Eagles.
There was a little hesitation on what foul to call that for Wolf, because I still think he may have been charged with a foul that wasn't his in the first half, so it's his 2nd on the night. They post up Sills. He goes around. Hollowell dropped it off to Omier. Too strong.
I like seeing Sills post up.
So Omier now 3 out of 10 from the floor on tonight. 6 points, 2 rebounds for Norshad.
You know, Broom doesn't get a block on that possession, but he still should get credit for it because Omier definitely rushed it.
And there's a 3-pointer up and good near the right corner for Trey Hollowell. He's got a couple of threes for his 6 points. Again, it scored in double figures in 4 straight coming into tonight. And the Eagles do strike first to push the lead up to 16. Eaton trying to answer. In and out on his 3, and Potter got the board. Arkansas State 1 of 5 from 3 tonight. Morehead State now 4 out of 12 after that make by Hollowell. Hollowell now inside the 3-point line, couldn't get it to go. Potter just took it away from the crowd, but got knocked off balance. Here's Omier pushing. Over to Marquise Eaton. His 3-pointer is good.
Add an assist to Omier's stat column, right? Along with everything else.
You've seen him lead the break tonight. Once he was by himself. That time he had somebody with him. It was Marquise Eaton who hits the 3, and the lead back to 13. Not for long. Hollowell again up top for 3.
We talked earlier about, again, towing that 3-point line. Morehead's offense was right at the 3-point line the entire possession there.
And now Omier picks up a foul inside. It's his 2nd.
Foul charged to Omier.
And the 1st on A-State in the 2nd half.
First team foul charged to the Red Wolves.
Holloway came in a 37% 3-point shooter on the season. He's 3 for 6 from deep tonight. Now we have a whistle to stop play here. And whatever it is was a short delay as Morehead State will inbound sideline. I said it was a short delay. Getting longer by the second.
Longer, that's right.
Hollowell waved off the screen, and Cooper eventually came to the basketball. This time he goes opposite the screen, and Omier with 2 hands swats that one.
That's one of the things I love about Omier, and we've talked a lot about Broom and his shot blocking, but how many players in the country nowadays you see go that block shots with 2 hands? Omier does such a great job. You rarely see that nowadays, and he's able to avoid a lot of fouls by doing that.
O'Meara came in averaging just under 2 blocks a game. He's among the Sun Belt leaders in that category. And there's a long 2 in the corner, knocked down by Talon Cooper.
Basket by Talon Cooper.
Thought the official called that a 2. Right now it's down as a 3-pointer. O'Meara gets his shot blocked, and then they say it was on the baseline. And boy, they're making some noise in First National Bank Arena right now.
A lot of contact on that first one.
Checks in the game for the Eagles.
And I'd have to go back at some point and take a look at that shot by Cooper. I thought the official held up 2 fingers, but right now it's down as a 3, and that's got the lead at 19. Hollowell and Sills.
Offensive, good job. Good pressure.
Desi Sills, coaching standpoint. This is what I've learned. Our friend Matt Stoltz is beside us here doing the Arkansas State radio broadcast. You know, I did 12 years of those for your program. And you never get an official to come talk to the radio guy.
That's right.
You think it's a TV broadcast? They can't wait to get over here and chat it up. O'Meara gave it to Eaton off the air ball. Thelwell came from behind to poke it loose. And we'll check that bucket at some point. I guess that conversation is over. But let's have a look here at the basket. Still tough to tell there. That's a 3, and it'll stay 1 now. As whistle blew, and we had a A-State player out of a shoe. There's the proof.
He almost still got the assist out of the play.
Skylar Potter return to the floor for the Eagles.
Jalen Seabury is back out there. Skylar Potter checks in as well during that stop and play as Desi Sills gets reconnected. Sills and O'Meara lead A-State with 6 apiece. Fields had Arkansas State's first 4, but he hadn't scored since. He's only taken 3 shots, and he turns it over there. Turnover is the 9th of the night for Arkansas State. Potter left alone to take the 3, and he knocks it down. That was sort of a hand-down, man-down situation.
Yeah, he was in the right spot, just didn't challenge it with the hand up.
Wesley lost the handle. Now here's Thelwell, blocked by Sills, who chases the play down.
It's an aggressive play, saving the basket. So you got to be careful from an Arkansas State standpoint of just still trusting each other, not trying to do too much. I think Wesley probably tried to do too much on that play right there. The intentions, you know, your heart's in the right place. You want to make plays. You still just got to trust everybody.
Arkansas State hasn't scored in 2 minutes 46 seconds. Red Wolves have turned it over 4 times in that span. And meanwhile, it's helped fuel a 9-0 Eagle run as they push that lead up to 22. And there's an offensive foul going to be called against Broome.
Foul charge to Johnny Broome. His second personal.
You know, sometimes that's, and O'Meara got called for one of those earlier. Maybe not necessarily Broome's as much as the guard's fault. Took off too early, didn't allow his post to get set there.
We mentioned these first 5 minutes of the half. That bucket by Marquise Davis will count in the first 5 minutes of the half, and if you do, then still A-State was outscored by 7 in that stretch. The 13-point halftime lead sits at 20. O'Meara in front of Broome.
Better ball pressure by Davis.
And Cooper drug his foot along the baseline. A-State forces the turnover.
You know, Davis didn't score in the first half, but he actually had a good few minutes there. So defensively of really denying and then pressuring the ball on the perimeter. Hopefully he can give him another lift here as well.
Talon Cooper called for the travel. That's turnover number 10. That category even at 10 apiece. Morehead State leads the points off turnovers 13-8. O'Meara blocked from behind, but a whistle and a foul. We'll put Norshad O'Meara at the line. Looks like it's going to go on Jalen Seabury.
Foul charge to Jalen Seabury.
Fourth team foul against Morehead State, which is already more than either team was called for in the first half.
That was a powerful move. That was more, again, we've seen Norshad kind of, drift into using that fadeaway shot a lot this game. It was good to see him just power through on that one. That's more his game.
25 minutes and 43 seconds in. O'Meara just hit A-State's first free throw of the night.
And the way they've shot free throws this year, that is something. If they can get into the bonus, they've shot free throws really, really well this year.
12th in the country as a team in free throw percentage at 81.5%. O'Meara hits a couple there, and now the Red Bulls would have to string some stops together. Hollowell lost the handle into the hands of Avery Felts. He gives it to Sills. Desi step into the paint, gets it to go with a foul. Desi Sills will get an and one opportunity as Potter was inside the arc, I would think, before he tried to draw that charge. Let's have another look. Well, he was outside the arc, but officials say he was moving.
Didn't get set, yeah.
So Sills will get a chance for the and one. Sills will head to the line. Desi at 81.3%, essentially the same percentage the team was shooting coming into tonight. He'll have one. It's long, and the rebound into the hands of Jake Wolf. A-State has scored the last 6. Red Bulls within 16. And there's a block by Marquise Eaton out of bounds.
Good job there. Usually, even they have the press set for the made free throw. They stayed even in it, even on the miss. Taking it out of the guard's hands.
Shot clock at 20 for the Eagles underneath. They bounce to Potter. And Cooper is aided by a moving screen set by L.J. Bryant. And that's 6 team fouls, so Arkansas State, to your point, may have an opportunity to get back in this game at the free throw line.
Yeah, I think that's another case there, and Cooper's actually pointing himself accountable on that one. Is the guards are getting a little antsy leaving before those posts can get set on those ball screens, putting the post in a bad situation to get an offensive foul.
One of the clocks did not start, so they'll get it straightened out, and A-State will inbound it. As Marquise Eaton takes it back and brings it into the front court. And now we got a moving screen going the other way. That's on O'Meara, it's his third. Only the second foul of the night, or in the half for A-State. Only the 5th foul of the night, but 3 of them have gone on Norshad O'Meara.
Well, those are costly fouls, aren't they? Fouls that are 25 feet away from the basket.
He replaces Norshad O'Meara.
So here comes Antoine Jackson in. He'll lean on Janai Broom. Broom has it. Faces the basket. Good look underneath for Wolf, who scores off the glass. Jake Wolf, the Lipscomb transfer. Stops the little A-State spurt. Pushes the lead back to 18. Sills spins. They had it poked away from behind by Wolf. Wolf with a head fake, gives it to Broom, and he gets the easy finish.
He runs the floor so well for a big man, doesn't he?
Janai Broom with 16. That's his first bucket of the second half. He's 8 of 9 from the field. Matter of fact, he hadn't scored or grabbed a rebound in this second half up until that point. He's at 16 and 9 at the moment. He deflected that shot, but is going to be called for his his third personal foul.
His third personal, 17th foul charge to the Eagles.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier when Jackson went in the game in the first half. That's what you need out of him, is just get inside and be physical, and maybe you can get a score. If not, maybe draw a foul on Broom. That's what he's able to do.
We talked about Arkansas State's free throw shooting. Red Wolves have missed their last couple. Jackson had been 6 for 6 at the line to start the season before that miss. Christian Willis and Caleb Fields check in as the duo of Eaton and Sills have a seat. Jackson misses them both, so after the 2 O'Meara makes, 3 straight misses at the line for the Red Wolves, and the lead is at 20. Here's Potter open for 3, and he knocks it down. Skylar Potter, his second 3 of the night. He's got 8 points, 6 boards, and a 23-point lead is the largest of the night for Morehead State.
Well, the first half, it was all the points in the paint for Morehead, and now they're getting both inside and outside. They're hitting threes to go along with all the scoring inside.
Eagles 5 out of 6 from deep in the second half. Fields knocked to the deck, no Wolf, and there's a common thread among those guys Coach Bradlin was telling us about.
Yeah, they all postseason experience. As he said, winners. They when they went to get transfers, they wanted not necessarily the stat line, but they were looking for players who were winners. And you can see at the maturity level they all play with.
A-State with a miss coming out of the timeout. To mention Wolf with the basketball. He played at Lipscomb where they made it to the NIT final, and he got that one to crawl over the front iron.
2-point basket, Jake Wolf.
Meanwhile, Hall and Hollowell each played the NCAA tournament at their last stop. (9-0) Morehead State run. It's taken just 2 minutes to do it. And here's Potter out ahead of the pack for the steal and a two-hand jam. And now Mike Bellato grabs a timeout.
30-second timeout on the floor.
We'll stay here during that break as it's an 11-0 run. And we will now step aside for a timeout just about mid.
With the rebounding disadvantage, and they've had 3 turnovers in the last 3 minutes.
A-State being out rebounded by 11 as O'Meara again falling away on the baseline. No, and Potter gets the board. Rolling near midway here in this second half. Fields gets the steal. He's one-on-one with Cooper. Steps around and goes reverse. Wild shot there, rebounded by L.J. Bryant.
Just can't get anything to go right. It's a great steal and attack, and hoping to either get a basket or a foul and come away with neither.
A-State 3 for 12 from the floor here in the second half as everything is going Morehead State's way. Cooper down the paint with the left hand, yes.
Yeah, the guards have just taken over now the second half, and honestly, with this lead with Morehead, we may not see much of Broom anyway since they turn around and play tomorrow.
That is a very good point, and something that Coach Bradlin and his staff will have to navigate as they're on the floor tomorrow night here in Jonesboro against Kansas City. Marquise Eaton on the baseline hits the jumper. Arkansas State will take on Kansas City Sunday at 3, a broadcast we'll have for you here on ESPN+. But you are exactly right, and right on cue, so we see some new bodies coming to the scorers table. There's a three-pointer off the mark. Body's hitting the floor. That was Wolf who went down hard. Eaton gets his first. So Eaton at the line shooting to technical. And he gets 1 of 2 from the line. Now they're going to shoot free throws as well. Morehead State will walk to the line. This is Potter to shoot. He goes 1 out of 2, so he didn't accomplish much with the trip to the free throw line. And now we're going to talk through possession. And that will go to the Eagles underneath. In the meantime, Janai Broom checked back in. He was one of the players at the scores table when all this went down. And the Red Wolves forced him into a turnover, and then really the expression on Seabreeze's face said it all. He picked up a foul that he had no choice. He's literally lying on the floor.
Yeah, there's every contact's going to be a foul from this point forward, so there'll be a lot of free throws remaining in this game.
So watch him pick up the foul here, and look at the reaction.
Yeah, they'll have to make sure nothing escalates, so everything close is going to be a foul from here on out.
So it's the double bonus the rest of the way for Arkansas State. And O'Meara knocks down the first free throw.
Talon Cooper returns to the floor for the Eagles.
Talon Cooper checks back in.
Malcolm Farrington checks into the game for
Malcolm Farrington in for Arkansas State. O'Meara, despite the 3 for 12 shooting, can get in double figures with the second free throw. He's off the mark, so A-State now 4 out of 9 from the line, and it's all in about the last 4 minutes of game action. So as you said, even that hasn't gone A-State's way. 12th best free throw percentage in the country, and they're at 44% in this one. Broom. Gave it to Potter. He has to give it up. Thelwell. Back to Potter to beat the shot clock, and it grazed the rim. And then Arkansas State saves it into the back of the backboard.
That's when things aren't going well, right? You almost have a shot clock violation. You don't come up with it.
Lob it into Broom.
There's that flex cut they got a score on earlier.
Now they give it to it. He gets around O'Meara with the two-hand dunk.
Two-point basket, Johnny Broom.
Quick move by Janai Broom. And then quickly to the other end, Desi Seals gets a basket.
And Broom is able to get it into that left hand even for his height. He's super quick.
He's got 18 points on 9 of 10 shooting. He still doesn't have a rebound in the second half. Gotta wonder, especially given where tempers were a minute ago, how much longer his night's going to last. Say to the next media timeout, which is coming up at the next dead ball. And there's a three-pointer knocked down by Skylar Potter. His third 3 of the night. 14 for Potter as he's one of 3 Eagles in double figures. And then they lead it now by 29.
Yeah, Arkansas State's gone with 4 guards, trying to change things up a little bit and still able to give up a 3 there.
It's going to be a foul on Seabree. It's his 4th, and A-State's at the line when we come back, but this one has belonged to Morehead. We've had little to none in the ball game so far.
Yeah, and in games like this, it obviously hadn't gone your way, but you're still really early in the season. You want to end this thing on a high note, have some positive momentum going into Sunday's game.
Morehead State shooting 60% in the second half, including 8 of its last 10 from the floor.
Again, Arkansas State's taking now. They've got a 4-guard lineup around O'Meara.
A-State's been outscored 38-20 in the paint tonight. Potter passed up on the 3, drops it off underneath for Seabury with the basket.
I tell you, watching them against Mississippi State, one of the things I was really impressed with was their ability to their ball fake and attack off the dribble, and you saw it a lot on that possession right there. Very disciplined guards.
Marquise Eaton joins Desi Sills in double figures with 10 points. He's also handed out 5 assists, grabbed a couple of rebounds. Eaton coached with 5 of Arkansas State's just 7 assists tonight.
He had a quiet first half, but he's actually had a really good come back and had a good second half.
Preston Spradlin telling this team to hold up. He's in no hurry here in these final 6 minutes. High-low for Broom, who finishes.
Just no ball pressure on the passer.
20 points on 10 of 11 shooting. He's still stuck on 9 rebounds. But he's not too worried about that right now as Sills around everybody again for the finish.
Good physical drive.
A dozen for Desi Sills. He leads A-State, 6 of 11 shooting. He's grabbed 4 boards. A-State's hit its last 4, but it hadn't been against a ton of resistance.
I'm so impressed with Morehead's point guard, Cooper. We talked earlier about how they were trying to wear on him early, and he has just been as steady as they come. There's going to be I thought he was going to have his 8th assist.
Race for the ball out of bounds. It'll stay with the Eagles. As Cooper, 11 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists.
32 minutes. So the idea of trying to wear him down apparently was not going to happen because he has had a great game.
The second time he's scared a triple-double this season. He had 12 points, 12 assists, and 8 boards in their win against Transylvania. And he probably shouldn't be out there long enough to get a triple-double tonight, considering you got a game tomorrow.
No, I wouldn't think so either, but he has had a really good game.
Yeah,
actually, the big 4 from Morehead, Broom, Hollowell, Potter, Cooper, they've all done the job tonight.
They've led the game throughout. A-State had a 2-0 lead, and that's the last time the Red Wolves were up in this one, as there's Potter with another basket. He's got 16.7 boards. They've hit 5 of their last 6 from the field, now shooting 62.5% here in the second half, as Sills collides with Wolf, who picks up. And he's off the mark with the first. So Sills, coming into tonight, had been 13 of 16 at the free throw line. He's now 1 for 3 as that one rattled in. Got to look at Scott Combs, one of the assistant coaches from Morehead State, telling us before the game, as a player, he took a recruiting visit to Arkansas State.
And played here a couple times as an opponent, right?
Played on a Missouri team that came here back in the Norm Stewart days. Sills with the dunk off the steal. Desi Sills, if you know him, is not going to stop playing hard because it's visiting teams, each playing back-to-back. Arkansas State, just as the host, got the opportunity to get an off day. Of course, they were going to work it around that A-State football game. As Seabury goes in the crowd, and he'll head to the line.
His second personal.
Avery Feltz commits his first foul. And going to be free throws coming up for Jalen Seabree. He's got 9 points, a couple of rebounds. He missed his only free throw of the night. And now he's missed his first 2. Tyjon Claude in for the first time tonight. So that was Tucson Redding who's into the lineup. As Sills is going to step on the baseline and turn it over. So we get our first look at Tucson Redding.
Yeah, Sills has been a lot more aggressive off the dribble this second half. I think this is one of the positives of seeing how aggressive he stayed despite the turnover there on that possession.
Redding, the junior out of Aurora, Colorado, getting his first action. He's got the basketball in his hands as we hit 3 minutes to go. Picks up the screen from Bryan. Now gives it to Hollowell, who will take a 3. And Norshad Omier grabs the rebound, which is his 8th. Omier put it on the floor. Now Feltz cut off in the paint, and A-State's got a reset. Eaton will take a contested 3 off the back iron. And now we'll stay here with a whistle and a foul, I believe, on Thelwell. And free throws coming up from Keon Wesley.
To line to shoot 2, Keon Wesley.
So Wesley hasn't scored tonight. He's only taken a couple of shots. It's his first free throw. He's 57% at the line on the season. And he's off the mark on the first. Going to see a couple of new A-State players in. Antoine Jackson's back. We get our first look at Mario Fantina, the second-year freshman out of Croatia. Wesley goes 1 out of 2. Omier sits down. His night likely done. He'll finish with 9 points and 8 rebounds, which is a good night for a lot of dudes.
It is. It is a good night. Yeah.
Somewhat pedestrian for Omier, who was held to 3 of 12 shooting. Redding had it knocked away. It still managed to find the hands of a teammate and knock it down. The jumper is Trey Hollowell.
It's the way the night's going, and then falling on the floor, still finds a teammate and hits a shot.
Inside 2 minutes to go. As they go into Jackson, and his pass intercepted by Thelwell. One trend that's going to hold for both teams is they grab a timeout to make a change. They'll sub Braden May into the lineup. For both of these teams, for Arkansas State, coach, and for Morehead State, both the trend stays. Neither team has lost a game it was leading at the half, and neither team has won a game it was trailing at the half.
That's the trend that continues, huh?
It's going to. They will both continue in this one.
For Arkansas State, you just got to obviously learn from this. This is a very good team. It's more just seeing them in person, how good these guards are. You obviously knew coming in how good Broom was, but these guards are really, really good, very mature. It's a good team. Arkansas State's got to learn from it and bounce back quickly. Again, against another good team in Kansas City on Sunday.
Redding, a little bit long. Rebound out to Avery Feltz. Just over a minute to go. As Feltz fired it ahead to Grobovich. That's Lazar Grobovich, who checked in during the last stoppage. And Grobovich, out of Belgrade, Serbia, will head to the free throw line. And he knocks down the first free throw. His first free throw attempt of the season. Makes them both. A-State in the 39th minute of the game hits the 50-point mark. And again, there's your indicator. Arkansas State's number was 75, and look where Morehead State's sitting.
Exactly. That's what I've been looking all night, thinking they weren't the lack of scoring for Arkansas State. Again, Broome just changed the game early on. Just changed the way Amir was playing inside, and changed the way we were attacking off the dribble, and things just unraveled from there.
And off the desperation three, they'll call L.J. Bryan coming over the top of Antoine Jackson with the contact. And we'll walk to the other end for Jackson to shoot a couple of free throws.
To the line to shoot two, Antoine Jackson.
And we'll see, not just Arkansas State, how they react to this, but it too will be interesting specifically with Norshad Omier, who is still very, very young in his basketball career. Probably has only been playing the game less than 5 years. How does he respond come Sunday to not being physically the most dominant guy on the floor?
Well, it won't happen very often this year, right? I mean, he's not going to face many players like this that he faced tonight. So again, you watch your film, you learn from it, and
so we talked about all the double-doubles between them. They had 32 of them in their career, and they're both going to miss out on it tonight. Omier with the 9 points and 8 rebounds. Broome finishes with 20 points on 10 of 11 shooting. He had 9 rebounds and did not get a board in the second half.
I talked a lot last year. You just get so take for granted these double-doubles by Amir, and I'm sure the Morehead fans with Broome, that is a hard thing to do. It is a very hard thing to do, and tonight's an example of that.
Closing seconds here, A-State's got it. Feltz guarded by Redding. Gives it to Grobovich. And that will fall off at the horn, which is a microcosm of the night for Arkansas State, as the Red Wolves drop their first home game of the year.